How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I got some information about these third gen Tundras I want to talk about. So I'm going to sit here in my chair out in the garage and read a couple articles you might be interested in. If you have one of these third gen Tundras. I'm not a professional YouTuber, by the way, so bear with me. Well, anyway, this website's called pickuptrucktalk.com, and I got two articles here I want to read and talk about. You could look these articles up yourself. Pickuptrucktalk, all one word.com. All right, this first article here is called, "Why is Toyota Tundra engine failure debris cleaning not done at casting plant? Two plants get it wrong." This website likes to pop up ads while you're reading, and then it moves where you're reading, so you gotta, yeah. Hard to find where you left off reading. I'm going to start right here on this first one. A detailed report was posted yesterday detailing Toyota's efforts to fix ongoing issues with the 3.4 liter V6 catastrophic failures that are under recall. This is part of the second recall impacting 23 and 24 Tundras, and includes some Lexus LX600 and Lexus GX550. The report does not detail the hybrid engines, and it does talk about some of the issues Toyota engineers found related to the first recall in the 22s and 23s and Lexus 600. A key issue in the report is the fact Toyota says it is continuing to find larger debris after it has implemented various steps to improve its cleaning processes in two plants, Tahara, Japan and Huntsville, Alabama. The Lexus engines, same engine, is built in Japan. The Tundra engines are built in Huntsville, Alabama. On the Tundras.com forum, a member asked why Toyota engineers weren't going to the casting plant instead, since this is where the engine block gets created in the first place. The Toyota Jackson, Tennessee plant casts thousands of engine blocks, transmission cases, and housings each day, and has created over 3 million such castings in 2024. I reached out to Toyota's plant communication manager to better understand how the castings plant plays a role in the recall. "We cast engine blocks at our plant in Jackson, Tennessee," said Leah Almingling, probably pronounced that wrong, manager, Toyota Corporate Communications Manufacturing. "The holes for the components, piston, crankshaft, etc., are there when the casting, but machined at the engine plants." So the castings are done in Tennessee, the machining's done in Huntsville, Alabama, here in America. "Years ago, I personally visited the Huntsville, Alabama plant, and I vividly remember them drilling holes in the engine blocks while using water to cool the cutting tools they were using. Then they would take this machined block and assemble all the various engine components into the block. Along the way, this block, let's see, where'd that go? Along the way, this block with the machining debris left over from the cutting would need to be cleaned, and this is the lead factor leading to the recall, according to Toyota. They also think main bearing robustness is also an issue. People have wondered then, how could two plants have the same problem? That seems a bit far-fetched until you realized how process-oriented Toyota is as a company. They're using the same processing at both plants. So people that say, oh, if I ever buy a Toyota, I'm getting one built in Japan. Well, the Tundra engine's built in America. The Tacomas are built in Mexico. The only engine you can get four-wheel drive, I think, is a Lexus that's built in Japan, but they have the same cleaning process with the same engine, so that isn't going to make a difference where it's built. They're all having the same issue. Okay, I've been fortunate in my career to have visited many Toyota plants, including the one in Tahara, Japan, and Huntsville, Alabama plant, as well as the San Antonio, Texas plant where the Tundra is built. The assembly line process is the same no matter the location. The reality is that there is a problem somewhere in their process for cleaning a machined block that is currently, oh, there's an ad. Now I gotta find where. Okay, the reality is that there is a problem somewhere in the process for cleaning a machined block that is currently being addressed according to their own reports. Talking with Jacob Brown, Toyota Mobility Manager, also in charge of recall communications, he told me the Toyota production and quality control engineers are confident they have narrowed down what is going on and have addressed the problems. So they're getting more confident at getting this machining debris out. And they have upgraded the main engine bearing. I think the upgrading of the main engine bearing was done November 24th, someone said. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure, because they don't give the exact date on that part. But okay, so this second article here is called Second Toyota Tundra Engine Failure Recall Issued Due to Thousands of Failures. 2 fixes confirmed. All right, let's see what this article says. I'll move my camera here so you don't have to look at me. Okay, so last month the second Toyota Tundra engine failure recall was launched, and we know now thousands of failing vehicles pushed the automaker to expand the first recall. If you aren't aware, the 3.4 liter V6 engine used in the 22 through 24 Tundra, certain Lexus LX 600 and GX 550 vehicles has been under recall for engine failure. There are 2 recalls actually for the V35A engines, with Toyota stating bearings are failing, leading to catastrophic failure. We know that part. This leftover debris from the factory, also known as swarf, has become more of a topic as of late, with outside engineers and mechanics pointing out its impact on engine failure in other brands. Yeah, that's another thing I've been seeing. It's not just Toyota Tundra having these engine bearing problems and engine problems. You got Ford has some head problems, transmission problems. I seen a guy talking about his GMC. He's had problems with this truck since day one. The transmission shifts erratically, and then they have the lifter problems in their engines, and then even BMW's had some bearing problems, Hyundai, Nissan. So it's not just a Toyota thing. It seems like all these new trucks are having the same bearing problems. And that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying right here in other brands. If I was going to get rid of this Toyota, I was looking at some Chevys and I seen all their problems. I was like, oh Lord, and I'm never going to get another Dodge. I had a few of those. And Ford, I'm not going to get a Ford. I'm not going to get rid of a Toyota to get a Ford either. So, but anyway, here we go. So the first recall caught a lot of people by surprise, since the Toyota Tundra was once known for its reputation for being born from invincible reliability. Okay, this reputation, plus the swap from the 5.7 V8 to a twin turbocharged V6, which skeptics already questioned its durability, was severely tarnished by the recall. Okay, now here we get into some numbers. In total, Toyota recalled 98,568 Tundras, 3,524 Lexus LX 600, for a total of, okay, here we go. For a total of 102,092, with engines built at two different plants, one in Tahara, Japan, and one in Alabama, U.S. At the time, according to NHTSA.gov recall documents, Toyota said as of May 20th, 2024. Okay, so these numbers are about the first recall. As of May 20th, 2024, based on a diligent review of records, Toyota's best engineering judgment is that there are 166 Toyota field technical reports and 824 warranty claims on the engines in the subject vehicles that have been received from U.S. sources that relate or may relate to this condition, and which were considered in the decision to submit this report. They couldn't put a solid estimate on the number impacted, but said it was less than 1% of the vehicles they were recalling. So less than 1% engine failure rate in the first recall, and they still recalled it and gave everybody a brand new engine with new turbos, brand new crate motor with new turbos. Okay, this is 824 warranty claims out of 102,000 total vehicles, and Toyota was looking for more failures, so they're still watching for more failures, of course. Then came the second recall on November 6th, 2025, which included the 2023 and 2024 models, and included the Lexus GX 550 for the first time. The official numbers were 113,079 Tundras, 9,895 LX 600s, 3,717 total, for a total of 126,691. That's how many vehicles total are in the second wave of recalls. Okay. Toyota stated in a NHTSA.gov recall document, it found a lot more warranty claims, forcing this second recall. Okay, so I know they changed the machining process and the cleaning process in January of 23. So I was thinking my truck was going to be good and it wouldn't be, but that's not what happened here. They changed the cleaning process in January of 23, and they didn't change it good enough, so now they're still having engine failures, and that's why they expanded the engine recall. As of October 29th, 2025, based on a diligent review of records, Toyota's best engineering judgment is that there are 303 Toyota field technical reports and 2,604 warranty claims on the engines in the subject vehicles, that have been received from U.S. sources that relate or may relate to this condition, and which were considered in the decision to submit this report. Toyota's Jacob Brown, Mobility Communications Manager, is also in charge of recalls, said this information only pertained to the second recall. So those numbers I just gave you are for the second recall. So the engine warranty claims and the failures actually went up after they changed the cleaning process in January of 23. I know they changed it in January of 23 because I found that on the Toyota corporate website investigation report a few months ago. And I tried to find it again and I wasn't able to find it, but that's what they said in that report. One of the hot topics online is if you believe Toyota's conclusion debris is causing the issue. Well, yeah, I pretty much believe the debris is causing the issue, and there's probably that first main bearing was probably a little too weak for a turbo engine. They changed that also, but mechanics have put out various videos from dealerships to so-called engine teardown specialists debating Toyota's conclusions on debris or design flaw. Interestingly, the second recall document has a rather great chronology report that reads like a detective novel on how Toyota engineers came to their conclusions. They've been investigating this stuff for a while, I'm pretty sure. I mean, does Toyota want to lie to you and tell you it's engine debris when it's not? I mean, they got a reputation for reliability. They're giving all the customers new engines that have problems. They're trying to take care of the issue, obviously, you know. If you got another branded truck and you got engine problems and stuff, you might not be so lucky, is from what I've heard. Let's see. As a part of field monitoring efforts for recall 24V381, I'll just call that's the first recall, is what they called that one. Toyota observed an increase in allegations in the field of engine failures on vehicles equipped with this configuration of the V35A engines that were not included in the first recall. In some cases, the failures appeared to have been in a similar manner as the condition reported in the first recall. Toyota recovered some engines related to these allegations and confirmed that some of the engines had a number one main bearing failure in the same manner as engines covered by the 24V, the first recall. Toyota began investigating the field performance of improvements that had been implemented in production for vehicles not included in the first recall. During this investigation, Toyota collected and reviewed information from both the engine plants producing the engine and Toyota's Alabama plant. Fabric swatches are used to collect data on the amount of contamination present in newly manufactured engines after the washing process. These swatches were compiled for later scanning and analysis. Toyota concurrently began recovering additional engines from the field that had failed, tearing down the engines and sending the number one main bearings to the supplier in Japan for materials analysis. So the bearings are coming from Japan. I didn't know that. Okay, August 27th, 2025. Toyota met with NHTSA to provide information regarding the current status of its investigation. September through October 25, Toyota reviewed and confirmed the implementation, timing, and continued adherence to manufacturing contamination improvements that occurred at the Alabama manufacturing plant. I understand why people drink water while they're talking on camera. I keep getting an itch in my throat. Anyway, 2 relevant production periods at the Alabama plant were identified between the production period covered by the first recall and the implementation of a design change to increase the robustness of the number 1 main bearing. Because the Alabama plant continued to implement additional manufacturing process improvements to reduce the potential for debris during this time. See, they didn't mention exactly when they changed the cleaning process again, but the first time they changed it, it didn't turn out so well. Toyota also reviewed the manufacturing contamination improvements at the Tundra plant after the period covered in the first recall and confirmed that the production processes was generally unchanged for this period. So they said they changed it, and it sounds like they actually didn't change it too much or not enough or whatever back in January of 23. To further investigate the production changes at the Alabama plant, the timing of the production change points from that plant was compared to initial results of contamination data retrieved from the fabric swatches. So they're keeping a pretty close eye on it. This initial comparison did not identify a correlation between production contamination variability and the engine failures seen in the market. Toyota determined that further analysis and statistical modeling of the swatch contamination data was necessary. Toyota also determined that collection of additional non-failed engines was necessary for a comparison to swatch contamination data, and this field recovery began. For the Tundra plant, the same contamination swatch data as the Alabama plant could not be compiled. Thus, in order to investigate the actual size and material of the contamination in the main bearings of the engines in the field from the Tundra plant, non-failed engines were collected. On September 30th, 2025, Toyota met with NHTSA to provide an update of its investigation and explain the status of the swatch collection and engine recovery efforts. Based on the analysis of the non-failed engines from the Tundra plant, it was confirmed that larger pieces of debris were present in Tundra engines from the production period after the first recall. In addition, the debris size data obtained from periodic debris control data was compared to the bearing robustness study. Based on these analysis and studies above, the debris size was large enough that if the debris were to be deposited in a certain manner in the number 1 main bearing, engine failure could occur. Toyota completed its statistical analysis of the swatch contamination data collected from the Alabama plant and found engines produced during the period after those recovered by the first recall, but before additional manufacturing process improvements, contained higher amounts of. So yeah, they changed the cleaning process again. They got the contamination numbers down. They're keeping a close eye on it. But the first time they changed the cleaning process, yeah, it didn't turn out. Toyota then compared the engines it recovered from this production period to the corresponding swatch data from this period and confirmed that these engines may contain higher counts of larger sizes of contamination. These analyses showed that the subsequent period after additional manufacturing process improvements were introduced had lower counts of debris of these larger sizes. October 22nd, 2025, Toyota met with the NHTSA to provide an update of its investigation and explain the findings of the swatch data analysis, as well as its ongoing investigation items. On Halloween of 2025, based on the results of the above investigation, Toyota determined that during a specific production period after the first recall, there is a possibility that higher counts of engine machining debris of larger size may have been cleared from the engine during manufacturing and can cause this may have not been cleared from the engine during manufacturing and can cause the issue described in section 5 to occur. For the Alabama produced engines of this configuration, the swatch data shows the increased levels of this type of debris in the period after the first recall and before additional manufacturing process improvements were implemented. For the Tahara plant, data from the recovered engine study about the bearing robustness and the field performance data indicate that an increased level of this type of debris is present in engines produced between the first recall and the implementation of the improvement to the number 1 main bearing. Thus, Toyota has decided to conduct a voluntary safety recall campaign for the above described vehicle production period. Engines produced at the Alabama plant for vehicles after this period but before the implementation of an improved number 1 main bearing remains under investigation. And that's the end of those 2 articles. So if you're in the first engine recall and you already got your new engine, I'm not sure if that one sounds like there might be some less in that one, but I'm not sure. And then if you're like me and you're in the second recall, you're probably going to get an engine that's built in 26 and it's going to have a more robust front main bearing and a better cleaning process. And you get a whole new engine and with new turbos already all bolted together. And that when it first started, people were saying the whole cab of the truck had to come off to replace the engine. That's not true. There's a channel called Walt Nasty on YouTube. He's a Toyota mechanic. He's done some time-lapse videos of the engine replacement in case you want to see one of those, if you haven't seen one of those yet. But yeah, I thought I was thinking my truck was gonna be good because they changed that. Because I read that they changed that cleaning process in January of 23, and now they're not talking about that much anymore because apparently it didn't work out. But yeah, well, if you've had your engine replaced or whatever, if you'd like to leave a comment and let me know your Tundra story, or if you found any of this information useful, let me know. Maybe some of you haven't heard some of those things yet. But those are 2 pretty good articles if you want to look them up and read them yourself. Alright, well, thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with your Tundras. Have fun with them. I've had a couple more things I wanted to say while I wait for this computer to load up and to throw it on YouTube. Here comes my buddy. This is my buddy Kenai. He's pretty old. He barely gets around anymore. I'll throw him on this video too. Oh, buddy. But it'd be nice to get inside that Huntsville plant and get some video of that actual machining process. So if any of you work at the Toyota plant in Huntsville, Alabama, and want to invite me down to film that for you, just let me know. I kind of doubt that's going to happen, but that would be interesting to see that. Why is it such a problem to get that machining debris out of that engine block? Maybe, I wonder if there probably wouldn't be possible to do it upside down to where the debris would fall down to the floor instead of dropping down into the engine block. That must not be possible. I don't know. Or how they're actually cleaning the block. I don't know. It'd be nice to see how they're doing that. But anyway, have a Merry Christmas and thanks for watching.